Hey guys, thanks for clicking on the video. Zach is back, as we say. It's finally time to do another layer of the Vampire Iceberg. It's layer 2 we're doing today. Remember to leave a like if you like this video, subscribe even, hit that bell. But without further ado, grab your Walmart bought clove of garlic and let's get right into the video. The first entry on Layer 2 is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. It's a 2023 horror film directed by Andre Edreval that expands on a single chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula. It follows the crew of the Russian merchant vessel Demeter, unknowingly transporting Dracula's coffin from Carpathia to London. It treats Dracula as a pure monster rather than a charismatic figure, emphasizing survival horror and claustrophobic maritime terror. It features practical effects that show Dracula systematically hunting crew members who desperately try to understand what's killing them. It focuses on the doomed voyage aspect with no real escape once you're out at sea. Abigail is a 2024 film, blending kidnapping thriller with vampire horror. A group of criminals kidnap this 12-year-old ballerina named Abigail for a ransom, but they don't realize that she's actually a centuries-old vampire. Most of the movie takes place in an old abandoned mansion, where Abigail starts to pick off these criminals one by one. It balances dark comedy with actual genuine scares as Abigail uses her childlike appearance to devastate her captors. The movie features elaborate death sequences and explores themes of underestimating others based on appearance. Invitation is a 2022 gothic horror film following a financially struggling Evie who discovers wealthy English relatives through a DNA test. She gets invited to a very lavish wedding on a sprawling English estate, only to find a centuries-old vampire conspiracy. This film features heavy gothic romance elements with an imposing manor, family secrets, and mysterious brooding love interests. It explores themes of family legacy, price of belonging, and whether bloodlines carry supernatural inheritance. Fright Night is a 1985 horror comedy about a teenager, Charlie Brewster, who discovers that his neighbor is a vampire. It stars Chris Sarandon as a charismatic vampire Jerry and Roddy McDowall as an aging TV host named Peter Vitson. It blends a 1980s suburban setting with classic vampire tropes, exploring teenage paranoia and adult disbelief. It features practical effects by Richard Edlund and very memorable transformation sequences. It got a sequel and also spawned a 2011 remake with its own sequel, with Colin Farrell as Jerry and David Tennant as a stage magician. The original explores themes of growing up, sexual awakening, and the loss of innocence through a vampire metaphor. The Peter Vincent character serves as a reluctant mentor figure, representing old-school vampire hunting. This movie balances genuine scares with comedy, particularly through Jerry's predatory charm and Charlie's frustration in not being believed. Whenever I watch this movie, I always think of that meme that goes like, being a guy is crazy, because the moment you turn 13, you're competing with grown men for girls your age. Let me put y'all onto something. This is a terrible movie, but it's a fun watch. Van Helsing is a 2004 Stephen Sommers action spectacle that stars Hugh Jackman as an amnesiac vampire hunter. Van Helsing works for a secret Vatican organization sent to Transylvania to help the Valerius family kill Dracula. This movie's a real monster mash. It features Dracula, obviously, but it also features werewolves and Frankenstein's monster. It is very dated CGI and also a lot of acrobatic sequences. I do recommend watching this. It is a very fun watch. I'm not saying that it's good. It is not good, but it is funny. Dracula 2016 is a BBC/Netflix series created by Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat. It's 3 episodes following Dracula from his Transylvanian castle through England and all the way to the modern day. Claes Bang plays a witty Dracula who engages in psychological warfare. It deconstructs and updates the Dracula myth for a contemporary audience. Each episode represents a different era and approach, exploring sexuality, power, and the monster appeal. Dracula 2000 presents Dracula as Judas Iscariot, cursed with vampirism for betraying Christ. It features Gerard Butler as a vampire count, awakening in modern-day New Orleans after an accidental release. This film explores ancient evil adapting to modern world through nightclubs and music venues. It has a notable rock soundtrack with themes of redemption, betrayal, and religious guilt. The New Orleans setting provides a gothic atmosphere with existing supernatural history. Vampires 1998 is a John Carpenter movie, a very, very gritty John Carpenter movie about Western vampire hunters in a New Mexico desert. It follows professional vampire hunters who work for the Catholic Church, and it involves a lot of Western-inspired theming. Woods plays Jack Crow, the leader of the Vampire Slayer team, who has a personal vendetta against the master vampire. As a John Carpenter special, you get a lot of very brutal, practical effects. I really like this one because it explores vampire hunting as more of a blue-collar job with all these specific tools and techniques, and you kind of go by the book. Priest is a 2011 post-apocalyptic action film starring Paul Bettany in a world where humans fought vampires. It's set in a dystopian future where vampires are contained on reservations after a great war. In this movie, Priest breaks his sacred vows to rescue his kidnapped niece from vampire forces. It combines Western aesthetics with sci-fi elements and has really cool motorcycle chase sequences. It has a very unique vampire design, featuring them as eyeless, pale creatures rather than traditional human-looking vampires. Next up, we have Life Force, a 1985 Tobe Hooper sci-fi horror about naked space vampires discovered by astronauts. In this movie, the vampires, they drain life force rather than blood, causing a kind of like a zombie-like virus. It features Mathilda May as a seductive space vampire with psychic powers. These vampires cause London to go into a kind of apocalypse scenario with a military response to the supernatural threat. It's based on Colin Wilson's novel The Space Vampires and blends sci-fi with vampire horror. Next up on the list, we have Vampire's Kiss. It's a 1988 Nicolas Cage film where he believes he's turning into a vampire after a mysterious encounter. You may have heard about this movie because it's really famous for Nick Cage's unhinged acting, including like reciting the alphabet and eating cockroaches. It blurs the line between a psychological breakdown and a supernatural transformation. It's a dark comedy that explores mental illness, urban alienation, and delusions of grandeur. There's actually a cult following around this just because, as I mentioned, Nick Cage's intense, very crazy like acting choices and very quotable lines.
You just put it in the right file according to alphabetical order. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Peter.
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P,
Peter.
Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Huh? That's all you have to do.
Vampire in Brooklyn is a 1995 Eddie Murphy horror comedy as he plays a Caribbean vampire seeking a mate in Brooklyn. Murphy plays multiple roles, including the vampire Maximilian, and takes on various disguises. It blends Murphy's comedy with genuine horror elements and a romantic subplot. It also explores Caribbean vampire folklore mixed with an urban New York setting. It features makeup by Rick Baker and explores themes of seduction and supernatural romance. Blood, the Last Vampire is a Japanese anime film about Saya, a half-vampire hunting other vampires at an American military base. It's set in 1960s Japan with stylized sword combat and minimal dialogue. It spawned a manga series, a live-action film, and a TV series called Blood Plus. This movie is more focused on action and atmosphere than character development, and has unique vampire mythology where Saya is the last of her kind and is fighting ancient enemies. We Are the Night is a German vampire film focusing on an all-female vampire coven in modern Berlin. Lena, a young criminal, is recruited into a glamorous vampire lifestyle by Louise. This film explores female empowerment, sexuality, and the dark side of immortality. It features an urban setting with nightclub scenes and fashion-forward vampire aesthetics. It also includes themes of found family, corruption of innocence, and the price of eternal youth. Alright, this next one I do recommend that you really watch. Put this on Zach's list of movies to watch. The Only Lovers Left Alive is Jim Jarmusch's art house vampire film starring Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. It follows an ancient vampire couple dealing with melancholy and the annoy of immortality. There's a large focus on music, literature, and cultural decay rather than horror elements. It's set between Detroit and Tangier with emphasis on atmosphere and mood. It explores what immortal beings do with endless time and accumulated knowledge. Queen of the Damned is a 2002 Anne Rice adaptation. Anne Rice has an interview with the vampire, starring Aaliyah as vampire queen Akasha in her final role. In this movie, Lestat becomes a rock star, awakening Akasha, who wants to make him her king. It features a new metal soundtrack and early 2000s gothic aesthetics. It explores vampire hierarchy, with Akasha as first vampire and the most powerful. This had a very tragic production as Aaliyah would die before completion, which affected the final product very heavily. The Strain is a Guillermo del Toro TV series about a viral vampire outbreak that started at the JFK airport. It features unique parasitic vampires with retractable stingers and worm-based biology. The series follows a CDC epidemiologist and exterminator team up to fight the spreading plague. It follows a 4-season arc exploring the vampire takeover of New York and global implications. The series is a combination of medical thriller and creature horror and ancient vampire lore. I love Guillermo del Toro. I love everything he makes. It's so funny in Cabinet of Curiosities when he comes walking up. He's very calm and always looks happy. He also has a really awesome house, and you can find the house tour on YouTube. What We Do in the Shadows is Taika Waititi's mockumentary about vampire flatmates in Wellington, New Zealand. The documentary crew follows centuries-old vampires dealing with modern mundane problems. It spawned a very successful FX TV series set in Staten Island with different characters, and it revitalized the vampire comedy genre with deadpan humor and improvised dialogue. It balances supernatural abilities with domestic comedy and interpersonal conflicts. It's Morbin time. It's time to morb. It's Morbin time. Morbius is a 2022 Sony Marvel film starring Jared Leto as the living vampire Dr. Michael Morbius. He's a scientist with a rare blood disease who transforms into a vampire-like creature seeking a cure. This is part of Sony's Spider-Man universe with connections to other Marvel characters. It features bat-based powers, echolocation, and superhuman abilities. It received very negative reception but gained meme status online and went on to make $1 billion. I fucking hate Morbius. I have a vendetta against Jared Leto. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people don't like Jared Leto, but me specifically. I'll let people come up to me and they'll be like, hey, you look like Jared Leto. Has anybody told you that you look like Jared Leto? And I'm like, yep. Every goddamn day. I don't like it. Get better bits. If you see me out in the open, don't call me Jared Leto. Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a major antagonist who becomes a vampire using an ancient stone mask artifact. He's the arch nemesis of the Joestar family across multiple generations and story parts. He has a very flamboyant personality, time-stopping powers, and dramatic poses. He influences multiple parts of the series even after his death through followers and legacy. Next up, we've got From Dusk Till Dawn, and you know what? There's a lot that I can talk about this movie, but I think that you should watch it. It's a Robert Rodriguez film, and if you don't know who Robert Rodriguez is, he made the Spy Kids franchise, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It starts as a crime thriller, but turns into a vampire horror halfway through. It features Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney as bank robbers taking hostages to Mexico. It transforms into an action horror at the Titty Twister Bar, populated by vampires. It's got a really cool scene in it where Quentin Tarantino sucks some alcohol off a woman's foot. It's famous for Salma Hayek's snake dance and genre-switching structure. It spawned sequels and a TV series exploring the expanded mythology. Batman vs. Dracula is a 2005 animated film bringing the classic vampire into Gotham City. Dracula, who is awakened in the Gotham cemetery, begins turning citizens into vampires, including the Joker. Batman must use his detective skills and technology against the supernatural threat. It has a darker tone than typical Batman animated projects, with gothic horror elements, and explores how traditional vampire weaknesses work against the modern vigilante. Next up, we've got the Underworld series, a big favorite of a lot of people. It's Kate Beckinsale's action franchise about a centuries-long war between vampires and lichens. It follows death dealer Celine, who's caught between factions while uncovering a conspiracy. It has a very gothic aesthetic with leather costumes, practical effects, and elaborate mythology, and has multiple films exploring vampire-werewolf conflict, hybrid characters, and ancient history. It features complex political intrigue within supernatural species hierarchies. 30 Days of Night and Dark Days are a horror film set in Barrow, Alaska, during polar night when sun doesn't rise. Vampires attack isolated towns during the month-long darkness for perfect hunting. The sequel, Dark Days, follows survivors seeking revenge in vampire-controlled Los Angeles. There's a very unique vampire design with shark-like teeth and primitive communication. These films explore isolation, survival horror, and using vampire weaknesses strategically. Salem's Lot is a very famous Stephen King vampire novel, which has been adapted multiple times for TV and film. It also has a slew of accommodating novels and short stories, like Jerusalem's Lot and One for the Road. It has characters that play a big part in the Dark Tower series. The story centers on a small Maine town that's gradually overrun by vampires led by ancient Master Barlow. It has classical vampire tropes set in a modern American small-town setting. It features iconic scenes like the floating vampire child at the window and explores how evil spreads through community and corruption of innocence. Vampire the Masquerade is a tabletop RPG system that has been adapted into video games, most notably Bloodlines. It is a very complex vampire society with different clans, each having unique powers and weaknesses. It also includes political intrigue between vampire factions and modern-day urban settings. In the game, players navigate Masquerade, which means keeping vampire existence secret from humans. It has a rich mythology which explores the vampire condition, morality, and supernatural politics. Alright, for the last entry on this layer, we have Dracula Untold. It's a 2014 action fantasy film starring Luke Evans as Vlad the Impaler, and follows his origin story and transformation into Dracula. It presents Dracula as a tragic hero who makes a deal with an ancient vampire to gain power to protect his kingdom from the Ottoman Empire. It features large-scale medieval warfare with vampire powers, including a really cool bat transformation and superhuman strength. The movie explores themes of sacrifice, corruption of good intentions, and price of power for protecting loved ones. It was originally intended to be the start of Universal's shared monster cinematic universe, later known as the Dark Universe. You know, the one with the Tom Cruise mummy movie that was really bad.
No.
I don't know why they thought that one was better than this. This movie gets a lot of hate, and it didn't get great reviews, but I really think it is good. This is probably one of my favorite vampire movies. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It does have flaws, I will admit, but I do find it very enjoyable to watch. Well, I'm upset. I'm upset that we can't get like a halfway decent Dark Universe. So that was layer 2 of the Vampire Iceberg. Let me know what you guys thought. It feels really good to finally be making a sequel to that other one I made 4 months ago. Thanks for all the views on that last one. I'm hopefully going to start making more videos. This is actually the last video with this setup. We're actually moving, so I'm going to be able to record a lot more. There won't be as much noise going on. Thanks to everyone who stuck around this long. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell. Yeah, thanks for watching.